PlayStation Fever here, bringing you another historic review on the PlayStation Vita Slim. Here in this video, we're going to talk about a lot of topics about concerning the overall aesthetics of the Vita, you know, the hardware, the software, and really what are the features that it has to offer for new upcoming people that are interested in the PlayStation Vita, and quite frankly, some PlayStation Vita owners that didn't even know. Overall, this is a review on what I think of the PlayStation Vita Slim in regards of the hardware itself, software support, and all that. Starting off with the hardware of the PlayStation Vita, I will say I'll make more of an in-depth comparison in a different video though, but in comparison with the previous PlayStation Vita Slim, I do feel that it has more of a cheaper material that they made the PlayStation Vita Slim. It is a little bit less bulky, it isn't as heavy, right? It is lighter in that aspect, which makes sense. But the material that they use, I just feel it's a little bit more cheaper than the PlayStation Vita original has. Because the original one has more of a sturdy, like if you were to drop it, it would probably have less impact than this one. This just seems to be more fragile. Not that you want to drop it though, but in that way, it seems a little bit cheap in that category. Now, they went ahead and changed some of the things, like the speakers are now down next to the analog sticks, which I don't think I like it because, you know, what if you have big thumbs or big fingers and you're using the dual analog sticks? You know, it might cover the speakers by accident, as opposed to they used to have it on the top, which I kind of liked. But the speaker sound is essentially the same thing. I usually just use earphones or a headphone so I can get the whole surround sound, if you will. But, you know, it's around the same sound, nothing too major in that category. The button layout is, the buttons are a little bit smaller, right? Comparison to the DualShock 3 or 4. The D-pad is a little bit more closer, so if you have big thumbs, it might be a problem when you're playing fighting games or transitioning from left to right or whatever, just because they're more combust together, and if you do press in the middle, it might switch around and mess you up. The cool thing in comparison to the PSP is it has dual analog sticks, which once again works well on the PlayStation Vita, and most games actually do utilize that, which is great. It definitely feels nice. The dual analog sticks feel really good in comparison to the DualShock. And they're small, but they do the job, and I like it. If you look in the back, we have a rear touchpad, which I'll go more in the video about how it's useful, but it's used for some of the games, like, you know, sprinting or attacking, or some of the mini games that some of the games have. So it's a cool feature. It's not really used all that much though, but it's nice. On the bottom, you'll have where you can go ahead and, you know, put your memory stick. You know, memory sticks, once again, different varieties and prices. 8 gig I think runs around $20, which went down, but still, the 64 gig may run you a few dollars. The charging port is different. It uses the same USB connection for the PlayStation 4 DualShock and other mobile devices. It's not the one that it used to have, so they changed that up. It's cool, I guess. If you just have an extra USB laying around, you can go ahead and use that. The port for on top of the PlayStation Vita, you can go ahead and put the game. They've removed that mysterious slot that no one really knew what that was all about, so they just have the game slot, which is cool. And right here you have the power button, and you have the volume up and down. So, and the shoulder buttons, which feel good. They do the job well, which overall gives it that oval shape to the PlayStation Vita. And on another note is this has the LCD as opposed to the OLED that the original one has. And what this means is you don't get that crystal clear organic view. You do get nice quality for the PlayStation Vita, which definitely, like games like Killzone Mercenary, are definitive on the small screen though, but it also does help you in battery, but it's not as like, you know, just stands out as much as I used to. So that's kind of a different comparison. But let's go into the interface. Now, one thing I really do love about the PlayStation Vita is its new interface in comparison to the PSP, which had the cross media bar with the XMB. Pretty boring. And overall, it's really laid out. It's kind of like app related. It's really just easy to navigate, I feel. For instance, I'm going to go ahead and just give you an overview. On the top right, you have the notification tab, which goes ahead and gives you, you know, any games that you've downloaded, are installing, messages, who's online, anything trophy-wise, videos, and all that. So it's kind of a cool thing just to see what's going on with that matter. You can go ahead and hold on the PlayStation button, and here it'll have some like basic settings like the brightness. You can go ahead and mess with that. If you have music in the background, disable microphone, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth devices, all that cool stuff. One more thing that the Vita has and the PSP didn't have is more of a customization feel to it. So if you hold on the screen itself, you can go ahead and customize, move around the apps and all that. You can also even change the theme of it. You know, have a picture that you've saved on your memory stick, or a picture you want to go ahead and take, wallpapers and all that. Really cool customization in that matter. I like that. And overall, you can go ahead and have 10 apps or 10 whatevers on one slot, and you can have up to 10 of them slots in total. So you can go ahead and create more and, you know, move around the apps itself. Really cool stuff and overall. And in cases where you do have multiple applications are running down on the same time, you do get an indication on the top, whereas you see that home icon. You can go ahead and see what apps are running in the background. And obviously you can go ahead and see, right here with just by pressing on the PlayStation Vita button, and it's just swiping down if you want to go ahead and use it. That way it makes the PlayStation Vita, operate system a little bit more faster if you're playing an intense game or anything like that. So before we get into the game intense, let's go ahead and visit the PlayStation Store, and essentially the number one place you want to go ahead and check out for demos, PlayStation games, PSP games, PS1 games for that matter, and anything PlayStation Plus related. Just starting off, the PlayStation Store is, I want to say it's easy navigating. It's really, user friendly, touch friendly. You can go ahead and, buy cross-play games, cross-buy games, which interact with the Vita and the PS3, PSP games, minis, which are like sizable bite, small games like the app-related games, demos, and apps, media, and everything else. So let's go ahead and start talking about the Vita games itself. Now, they do have small discounts for some of the new games that come out for the Vita. For instance, if a game costs $40 when it comes to the Vita, it might be like $37 in the PlayStation Store respectively, depending on the region. And there are also some from here and there that do have offers from Sony. And if you do have PlayStation Plus, that's the more incentive of getting a Vita in that form, is that you can go ahead and get free games, but also get heavy discounted games that normally wouldn't be discounted at that price. The pricing isn't really like Steam friendly. If you own a PS3 or PS4 in the PlayStation Store, it's not like, 50-70% off, and if they do have that, it's just games that everyone forgot about, so it's not really that amazing, but it's nice to have. They do have a free to play, which is some like free games, or you can go ahead and buy like, bonuses and DLC for it, so you can continue to do that. Kind of cool. Indie games, which is now revolutionized the PlayStation Vita, and there's a lot to choose from for different prices, categories, and all of that stuff. So another thing that besides the games, obviously you get all PSP, PS Vita games, apps, and it does have a nice variety of apps. It's not heavy intense as maybe your phone does, but it's nice to have some sort of cool apps like we have Redbox Instant, Gam TV, Grand Theft Auto iFruit, which is just a mini game, Hulu Plus, NHL Game Center, Crackle, TuneIn Radio, which you can go ahead and listen to internet radio, NBA Game, PlayStation Arcade, and obviously you have your Netflix, your Skype, and your YouTube and Facebook and Twitter applications, which they work all intensively great on the PlayStation Vita. One of my favorites has to be the YouTube app. It really just works well. You can go ahead and watch HD quality videos. You can go ahead, the interface is really nice, go ahead and search a video. Now, it's not as, intense or whatever as maybe the iPod does or anything like that, but if you want to go ahead and just search maybe PlayStation Vita, see his newest video, you can go ahead and do that. Sometimes I just want to go ahead and watch a video on my YouTube as opposed to going to my laptop and having all that. The PlayStation Store also has the movies app section where you can go ahead, watch films, rent movies, that sort of thing. It's the same thing as the PS4 and Vita and 3, and you can go ahead and vice versa and connect it and transfer movies here and now. So it's kind of cool. I don't really use it that much because I have Netflix and YouTube, so it's a cool option if you want to go ahead and rent movies. So that's the PlayStation Store in a nutshell, kind of self-explanatory. The next other things I want to go ahead and cover is like the internet browser. The internet browser is, way better. It's a huge improvement from the PSP. You can go ahead and even watch YouTube videos on this internet browser, a little bit lower quality though, but if you want to go ahead and maybe do a simple search here and there on Google, or maybe you want to just check your Facebook on your internet browser, the mobile version of it or whatever, small stuff like that, it's able to work. Now, it does have some Flash enables. Not all websites are compatible with this, though. It's nothing you would really want to use, maybe just to get the, just a quick news here and there. I don't really use it all that much. It's a cool feature, but once again, it's nice to have it. With the PlayStation Network just being so huge, Friends List is a new, they actually kind of made it a little bit different how it stands out more than the previous used to have. Now, you can go ahead and find PlayStation Network users. You can go ahead and see who's online or categorize them by online ID name. You can go, see the friend requests and all that. As you can see, I have a lot of friend requests. And now with the, integration with PlayStation 4, which allows you to have up to like 2,000 friends, it is also carried on to the PlayStation Vita, which can be a false in a way, just because it's just so many people, and sometimes your notification will just go off and on every 2 seconds because of how many friends you have. Now, as of right now, there isn't a way you can go ahead and categorize like best friends, like maybe on the PlayStation 4 you can go ahead and do more customization on that port, and here you just have all 2,000 friends and there you go. And you wish it would be a wonderful way if you can go ahead and customize, you know, friends you care about the most and that sort of thing, kind of categorize them in that sort. Messages, you can go ahead and send messages through a PlayStation Network, group messages, just a direct message to someone. Same thing. Now it kind of gets a little bit cumbersome just because, you know, it's connected with the PlayStation 4's PlayStation Network message thing. I mean, maybe in the PS4 it's much more easier to just, you know, send chain messages to a lot of people and you go ahead and get that. So it's more of a mess, I want to say, in that form. Kind of, you know, where it used to be just simple one message to one person, that sort of deal. Now it's a little bit more cumbersome with group messages and all that, but it's cool if you want to go ahead and just message and not want to talk. Which leads me to the second one, which is party chat. Party chat is literally what people cried about on the PS3, and we still never got it, but we have on the PlayStation 4, where you can go ahead and talk on your PlayStation Vita, and you can go ahead, you and your friend could be talking almost like Skype, right? But be able to play a different game without having to play the same game. This form, you just want to go ahead and talk while maybe you're just doing an internet browser, checking the PlayStation Store or whatever. You can go ahead and do that in the background, or your friend doesn't have Killzone Mercenary, but you still want to keep on contact and tell them a joke or whatever. You can definitely do that, which is really cool. And you can go ahead and even communicate between the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4 with voice chat. Trophies, once again, it's cool that they've interacted and have it on the PlayStation Vita, which now has grown up to be the new thing where you need your trophies in video games. And simple enough, you know, all PS Vita games and PlayStation Network titles have trophies we can go ahead and collect. You can go ahead and compare it with other PS Vita owners, but also check all your PlayStation Network trophies from PS3 and PS4. Kind of a cool factor, you know, all that nice. And overall, it just has like simple stuff like the video app where you can go ahead and watch the movies, videos, and all that. Music player where you can go ahead and put your music and play it. Duh. I don't really use it that much. And photos. What's cool about photos now, you can go ahead, you know, take pictures of it. But also when you're playing a game, you can take a screenshot of that game and go ahead and view it. This also has a panoramic view where you can go ahead and have a 360 view of it. It's kind of a cool idea. It's not something I use, but it's nice that we have it. The next is the Near app. Near app is, I guess, the tender version of PlayStation Vita, where you can go ahead and find Vita owners in your surrounding area. Maybe what games do you have in common they play. Maybe you can go ahead and drop items, get like, you know, goodies and that, like extra small little DLC for games. Kind of see who's around in your neighborhood, kind of stalk them. It's a cool thing, just to if you're curious what games are played in your surrounding area. And you know, you have maps, which you can go ahead, it's Google Maps, you can go ahead and search, you know, a certain location, you know, get some direction, that sort of thing. It's more useful if you have the 3G model, if you paid for that, so you can go ahead and actually use it to its full, but it's there. And obviously YouTube and Netflix, like as previously discussed. Settings, you know, you can go ahead and check out the settings. You can go ahead and customize some of the PlayStation Vita avatars that you may have. You can go ahead and customize the panel background for it, and then just, you know, configure some of the configurations for your PlayStation Vita with sound, device, notification, security, daytime, pretty much all that you'll expect. Nothing too huge or anything like that, but you do have the system update, which always brings new stuff. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, and you know, it's not that slow. I feel like they do bring more out when they do system updates. It's a little bit new. And if you may heard of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita remote play function, it's really easy to set up. You just get a code, search it on the PlayStation Vita, and simultaneously be able to connect on your PlayStation. And the remote play feature itself isn't 100% robust. It definitely still needs some, you know, fix-ups. And whether Sony has anything under sleeve to go ahead and make it better, improve it, it's yet to be seen though. But we should kind of wait and see what it does though. But it's a cool feature if you want to go ahead and show that you can play Battlefield 4 on your PlayStation Vita in that form via PlayStation 4. It's not something I really use myself all that much though, but it's there. And also with the PlayStation 3, again, the PlayStation 3, it's more limited than the PlayStation 4, so that's kind of a downside to that. I guess more than anything, you buy a PlayStation Vita for games, right? You do. And there's always discussion of what the Vita games that it has, whether they're good or not. Look, I'm going to tell you as a consumer, okay? There is a nice variety of PlayStation Vita games, from action to adventure to mystery to shooting to puzzles to anything your heart desires is found on the PlayStation Vita. All you have to do is actually just do a quick Google search and you'll find those games. You know, I play a lot of, like, you know, games from Tearaway, which is like a 3D platform, I want to say, to something more intense like a Killzone Mercenary, or something more open adventure, open world like a Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, or something more, you know, touching like a Walking Dead. So there's a lot of variety of games, from retail to PlayStation Network games to even the cross games you can go ahead and buy on the PlayStation 3 or 4 and then have it on the Vita. And indie games, which is just grown out of nowhere, really. I feel that I play them more on my PlayStation Vita just because I feel that it just makes more, I don't know, I just like having an indie small game on my PlayStation Vita, and I play more like, say, Hotline Miami than I do on my PlayStation 3 just because I just like, just having it on my hand and be able to listen with some headphones or earphones, and it just works amazing, and I just love it. But continuing with games, for instance, Killzone Mercenary has the online multiplayer. Now, it is a little bit more limited to maybe what the console has. Maybe like, since in the Vita it has 4 versus 4 as opposed to maybe 8 versus 8 or anything like that. I don't know if it's the developers being lazy, because the PSP had, like SOCOM had 8 versus 8 or like big matches like that. So I don't know what it is exactly. They haven't really said what it is, but it works nice. Obviously it all depends on the game and your internet connection. So, but if you do have an updated game like Killzone Mercenary, which constantly the developers are always updating it with the system, with game updates and patches, DLC and bot zones and all that nice stuff, it definitely makes the experience overall well. Now, games like maybe like a Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, the developing team is dead, so you might not even see DLC or even patches, let alone. So, you have to kind of see what games and what companies are still relevant and which ones are still alive to make your decision. But overall, the games are well supported by their developers, especially on the PlayStation Network. And going back with the touchpad, now there's a few games that utilize this. Games like Little Deviants, Little Big Planet, and Tearaway, they use this for some of their mini game sections. We can go ahead and use it, to maneuver it. Borderlands 2 uses it to kind of combat. You can go ahead and use it on Declassified to sprint. So it's a nice feature. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like it that much, but it is useful, and since we don't have the L3 or R3 option to press, or the L2 or R2 for that matter, so it's kind of in a way used as customized when you're playing PlayStation 4 remote play. If you ever wondered, well, how to use L2 or R2 or L3 or R3, it's all customized on your touchpad. Each section is divided into that. Again, some games use that for melee attacks, for running, and it makes sense. It's useful in that matter, but sometimes I just kind of want to use the buttons that I can physically see, but it makes sense more for mini games. But if it's something like having to constantly use, I get really aggravated because I don't really like using it, but it's just me. Now, going back to the PlayStation Vita cameras, now the rear facing can be used for augmented reality games, also for other PlayStation Vita games. So like Little Deviants uses this just to kind of demonstrate what it's all capable of. The front facing camera, you can use that for Skype. You can use that for obviously like little customizations with mini games like Tearaway. You can go ahead and use that, and take photos if you want, that sort of thing. It's not a thing I really use. The cameras are nice to have, same thing as your iPod Touch. They're good, they're great for taking photos here and there, but it's nothing that you'll want to use that as photography or a video for that matter. You don't want to use your Vita for video recording YouTube, so you just don't want to do that. And obviously, one thing I can't believe I forgot, the touchscreen. The PlayStation Vita has a touchscreen, which obviously the PSP did not have, and it's really responsive. Maybe it might be as responsive as maybe the Apple products, just because they're more, touchscreen sensible. But the PS Vita is great using the touchscreen to go ahead and navigate. You can use the buttons to do so, but sometimes I just like to swipe it here and there and move it around with the touchscreen. And many games use this to kind of, go ahead and pick maybe a weapon, like in Killzone Mercenary, to pick out your loadout, to pick up your gun, that sort of thing. You use that. And more games use that when you want to just go ahead and, kind of tap on that. It's similar to the DualShock 4's touchpad in a way, but it's more used on the PlayStation Vita just because you can actually see it. So there's games where you can go ahead and use whether the buttons or the touchscreen. So it has like two variety, depending if you're someone that's always used the iPod for touchscreen and you want to, have the easy transition from that, and or you want to use buttons for that matter. That's the benefit of having a Vita, because it has both the touchscreen and the buttons. And I want to see how like Minecraft plays on the Vita, if you can use the touchscreen or not. I want to see. I'm so curious. I'll bring you the full, length review or all those videos on that. So, but overall, I love the PlayStation Vita, and it's more, maybe you might want it if you're someone that's looking for, portable games, like almost console versions of PlayStation Vita games, like a Killzone Mercenary or an Assassin's Creed, or PlayStation Network titles. And I love this device. I just love it. The price is good, $200. The slim version has a 1GB internal memory. The memory sticks all depend. You have to want to go ahead and do some searching. 8GB is $20. Not too bad, but still. There are a lot of variety of games, and I feel people don't really look that well. There is a nice variety of games found on the PlayStation Store and even the retail version. You just have to go ahead and look at the list, what you're interested on, and see from there. And I hope that even though it's more than 2 years that the PlayStation Vita has, I still feel that there's still juice and more to happen on the Vita, and I can't wait for the future of the PlayStation Vita. And hey, if you're someone that's been looking to take the next gaming, incentive to play it on the go, or maybe you're looking into getting Minecraft on the go on the PlayStation Vita, get it. It's a wonder device. If you want to go ahead, and there's always bundles that they have with the PlayStation Vita, which gives you more, games for free, memory sticks, and all that. So I love it. I say go for it and get it. I love this device. Screw the haters, just because, well, I love it, and that's what matters the most. And you should too if you love it. So there you have it, folks. The intensive review on the PlayStation Vita Slim. Make sure to check out my comparison between this one and the original PlayStation Vita, and also any Vita game related videos. So, on to the next one.